Good afternoon, good whatever it is. I'm Danny Schneider. Thank you for tuning in to this music show today. You know, if you happen to like that cool nerd video you just saw, please call the number at the end of the show and I'm going to mail you a free cassette. I'll pay the postage and everything just because you like it. I'm going to mail it right to you. Let me explain a little bit about our show today. I don't know if you've watched it in the past, if you've seen it on your public access channel. But what I always try to do is I try to find artists or business people that can help musicians, such as myself and possibly you, figure out a way to get your music exposed, to learn new strategies, new ways of trying to break into this music business to try to get some exposure or whatever. I've had artists on before who've had songs placed on albums or put out their own CD and gotten distribution and that kind of thing, and I've tried to pick their brain on how in the heck did they achieve what they were able to achieve, what level of success. And then I've tried to get business people on also that can maybe help us figure out what we're doing wrong and that kind of thing. If we are doing anything wrong, you're probably, hopefully not doing anything wrong. But today, I'm really excited to have our guest today. His name is Kashif. And if you own Whitney Houston records or Kenny G, you've seen his name and heard and listened to his work. He's produced and written for Whitney Houston, Kenny G, George Benson, just to name a few. And we're going to spend the whole time today talking with him, and I'm going to try to ask him every question I can possibly think of on how the heck do you get your music out there, and what should you do and what should you not do also. He's written this new book.
Turn it up.
Oh, God. He's written this new book. Hey, see, we're learning right now the things you're doing wrong. I've been reading books upside down. That maybe is one problem. Kashif has written this book, Everything You Better Know About the Record Industry. And just to give you an example here, Billboard magazine has written some things. It said, Kashif's Everything You Better Know About the Record Industry is a penetrating look at the ins and outs of the record business. More than just sweeping generalizations, it's packed with practical information that gives the reader an insightful view of the industry. Not only is this book a must-read for record business freshmen, its comprehensive scope allows even tenured music veterans a broader understanding of the biz. Also, Ice Cube is recommending this book. He says, this is the new recording industry Bible. And that's just a couple of examples on this book. We're going to ask him a bunch of things. So I think I'll go ahead and shut up, since I've already made a fool of myself turning the book the wrong way. We'll get right to asking Kashif some questions. First of all, thank you very much for being here. I've been really excited about having you today as a guest. I know you were nominated 5 times for Grammys?
Yes, 5 times.
That's incredible. Why don't you tell me just briefly some of your what you were nominated for and all?
Well, all of them were for instrumentals, either instrumentals or music that I produced on Whitney Houston.
I see. You Give Good Love?
Actually, it was the second album, Where You Are.
Oh. I love Whitney Houston so much.
Oh, yeah, we do. We all do. I think there are a lot of people out there who love her. And the other 4 nominations were for Kashif artist albums on
Oh,
yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm impressed. That's a goal of mine someday. And also, you teach at UCLA extension classes,
Well, I
right?
taught an extension class at UCLA called Contemporary Record Production, and I taught there for 12 weeks.
I see.
Yeah.
Do you have any classes coming up with at UCLA?
There may be one coming up in the fall. We're talking about it. And in fact, we're talking about doing a television class where we're going to bring in an audience and we're going to do it kind of as a television forum.
I see.
Yes.
Are you talking about the show? This is with UCLA.
Yes.
Because we're thinking about doing a show here pretty soon with a small audience.
That's
and
right.
We'll have a couple of those coming up. That'd be fun. Hey, you know, where were you born? Were you born in L.A.?
Brooklyn, New York.
Oh,
Do or die, Bed-Stuy.
What's that?
It's Bedford-Stuyvesant, but that's the catchphrase. Do or die, Bed-Stuy. It means you either do or you die.
In Brooklyn?
Yeah.
It's tough there, huh?
It's tough, but it was fun. It was great.
When did you move to? Did you start music in New York then?
Yes,
in
I did. In elementary school, I was, I guess, around age 7, and I had a song flute, a $3 song flute.
Oh, yeah?
You sent away for it, and you waited like 2 months to get it.
Oh, I think I remember those in the magazine.
Right. And I got it, and I wouldn't put it away when it was time to do my other lessons, so the teacher figured out that I had an affinity for music, and she put me in a music class, and I went on to junior high school and ran into a wonderful teacher and mentor. His name was Robert Wedlaw, who spent a lot of time with me, you know, instructing me on you know, my musical talents.
I see.
Yeah.
Do you play an instrument too?
Keyboards and drums are my main instrument.
I see.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned that with your flute. I used to have a rubber band gun. And then at some point when the Beatles came out, my rubber band gun turned into my guitar.
Oh, okay.
That was my first instrument. But I was going to ask you too, who was your main influences when you grew up?
Oh, God, influences. Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea, George Benson, Al Jarreau, McCoy Tyner.
McCoy Tyner, my favorite jazz pianist.
Wonderful. Art Tatum, who is my favorite. You know, when I grew up playing music, it was a little bit different today. Most of the heroes today tend to be contemporary artists, whereas during, you know, the time when I was growing up, the heroes were the jazz artists, which may have been the contemporary artists. Some of them, like Chick Corea and George Benson, you know, they crossed over, and Herbie Hancock crossed over into the contemporary music, but they were predominantly jazz musicians.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I used to really enjoy very much the whole Return to Forever and Al Di Meola. I'm a guitarist, you know, and John McLaughlin, the Intermounting Flame, that whole jazz time.
The Mahavishnu Orchestra.
Mahavishnu Orchestra, yeah.
That was a time when, you know, there was a lot of fusion going on. Even at that time, I used to buy Wanda Landowska records and Glenn Gould, who, of course, is the great Canadian pianist. And Wanda
Glenn Gould wasn't Glenn Gould more
classical?
I see, yeah.
He was all classical, and as was Wanda Landowska. She was very famous for the Bach Two-Part Inventions recordings and stuff. So, I mean, I had a wide range of influences.
I see. Yeah, that's good. What was the first song? Do you remember the first song you ever wrote? We have
oh God!
Like to ask
I don't
question.
remember the first song. I remember the first hit.
Oh, what was the first hit?
The first hit was Evelyn Champagne King, a record called "I'm in Love."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, "I'm in Love." Everyone asked me, "Was it Shane?" But unfortunately, I did not write that.
I see.
And fortunately for the writer, I did not write that one. But I had my
Will
first.
Will she see this? Will she see this?
Probably.
Tape? Are you still in contact with her?
Yes, that's right. We talked about it. You danced with her one time.
I danced with her. Yeah, I went to the Roxy. That's when I was in the. I'm talking now because in case Evelyn is listening, I went to the Roxy. I was in record retail, and back then in the late '70s, you know, we used to get all kinds of free tickets and all that kind of stuff. And I went to the Roxy, and she had a record release party on for RCA, and and she was with her parents and everything, and she was sitting with her parents. And after she got done performing, I went and asked her to dance, and I was always, I don't know, proud of that. Her name keeps appearing back in my life for some reason. Well, let's talk about your fantastic book.
Yeah.
I've been reading. I know it's not quite out yet, and I know they're only going to be able to get the book through contacting you directly.
Sure.
And by the way, if anybody out there needs to get a hold of Kashif for any reason, Kashif was even telling me if you are an aspiring, the next Whitney Houston, the next Kenny G, the next whatever, he'd like possibly a note from you. He's actively looking for talent and all. And the number at the end of the show, which you can see, there's an address and a number. Feel free to call that number. And since this is public access, that's the only number we can allow on the show. But I promise that I'll get any information to Kashif when you call that number. And in the book, I was looking at some of the preliminary stuff you sent me.
Right.
And one thing that caught my eye was that you say, you know, I own the plane, but I don't know how to fly.
Yes.
And that's your analogy for most of us record business aspiring people. Can you explain that analogy a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Basically, you know, there are a lot of talented people out there. There are more talented people today probably than there ever were at any other time. I mean, because of the new technology and because folks are attending more music schools and they're learning more about the craft, the standards are continually or continuously rising. And it's interesting because it's very rare that I get a bad tape across my desk now. And the one thing that I noticed is that most people don't know how to get into the business, or even if they get into the business, they don't know how to handle themselves properly.
And that's probably even worse.
That's right, because then you've achieved your dream, so to speak, but you have nothing to show that you've achieved.
Disappointing.
That's right. You're very disappointed, and sometimes folks become bitter. But owning a plane and not knowing how to fly it. You go to a musician's house, a songwriter, a producer, or an artist, and they have all of this equipment, maybe tape recorders, guitars, keyboards, and basses, and other various instruments that you would use to record your demos. And it looks very impressive, and you got all the flashing lights and it's high technology, and it looks kind of like an airplane cockpit. This is where I got the idea. It looks like a cockpit because it's usually surrounding the musicians, and then you say, okay, well, let's make a hit record. And then they go, but I have some songs that I think that are hits, but I don't know what to do with them. Right. That's the equivalent of owning an airplane, being able to start it up when your friends come over, being able to impress them with all the gadgets and the lights and rev the engine, to get the propeller going and everything, but you can't get the sucker off the ground to go anywhere. The logical solution for the would-be pilot who wanted to navigate safely to a destination would be to attend flight school, correct?
Yeah.
The logical explanation and a logical solution for songwriters, producers, artists, music entrepreneurs, all of you who are the stars of tomorrow, is to educate yourself about the business. That's your logical solution to finding your way to success, to being able to walk that road. We have put together a nice little roadmap for you to follow. If you follow those steps, you'll find the success.
In your book.
That's right.
And you happen to mention, you didn't mention, you wrote in your book, you have 4 categories. You call the first section is the dream. And then we have the dream team. And then we have making dreams come true.
Yep.
And then keep your dream alive. Why don't we start with the dream section? Tell us about that. You mentioned you need a clear vision.
Well, those steps that you just mentioned are basically my prescription for what one needs to do in order to find success in the music industry or any industry. First, you must have that dream, that inspiration, that heartfelt longing, and that strong desire to become a star, to become a songwriter, producer, artist, or even music entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You have to have those feelings first.
Right.
Over and beyond that, you have to have the intellectual and the academic wherewithal to start putting together a plan. Okay? You get that information out of books or attending seminars or just any place that you can find information about the business.
So the day of playing at Joe's Bar and having Clive Davis come in and sign you up, you're saying that's not likely?
Well, I'm not necessarily saying that. What I am saying is that even if Clive Davis were to come in and discover you, you better know how to play the game, because not that he would take advantage of you specifically, but the business as a whole is a business of predator and prey. If you don't have the information, you are going to be preyed upon. If you do have the information, then you can take care of yourself. It's like walking into a jungle, and if you had a guide, and you walk into the jungle and he says, hey, that path on the left, if you go there, there's a big tiger who's going to wipe out, who's going to grab out and eat you. But if you turn to the right, you're going to run into a nice village of beautiful women who are going to bathe you and feed you delicious foods.
Do you have the number of this guy we can call?
But it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You have to have a guide, and the guide will help you.
A role model.
That's right. The second stage, which is, what is the second stage?
The dream team?
The dream team deals with issues that songwriters, producers, artists, and music entrepreneurs and performers face on a day-to-day basis when they have to deal with folks who are going to help them get to where they need to go. Everybody's going to need a manager. Everyone's going to need an accountant. Everyone's going to need an attorney. And these are members of your dream team. And you have to be able to manage your dream team, because they too can take advantage of you if you don't know. So your dream team in the section called Your Dream Team, I talk about how to interface with your manager, how to manage your manager, how to manage your attorney, and all those various things that you do, how to work with your accountant, how to set up a system of checks and balances so that they're working together so that you might achieve the most out of whatever success you will find.
Oh, yeah, I see. I like that term too, the dream team. That has a nice ring to it.
Well,
nice
it
way
is
of looking at it as opposed to a lawyer or my accountant.
Right.
You know?
Well, it is the team that's going to help you realize your dream. So it's the dream team. It's like, you know, we wanted to win the Olympics, so we put together Charles Barkley, we put together Moses Malone, and all these great, you know, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Put together this dream team to go out and recognize the angles that they could take advantage of. It's the same thing with your team. Sometimes angles not even going to be there that they can take advantage of. And your dream team are supposed to be able to create those angles, to create those opportunities for you.
Yeah, I see. Then you talk about making the dream come true.
Sure. When you make your dream come true, there are very specific things that you can do to get the attention of record companies and publishers. You can even start your own record label. That's one way of making your dream come true. You can get a publishing deal. And these are things that you can do to take control of your own career and your own life where you're not necessarily depending upon another entity. These are stepping stones that you can use to find your success, and I call that section "Making Your Dream Come True."
You know, we could have a whole show. I'd like to talk to you just on that whole section. Then keep your dream alive.
Oh, most people, when they think of having success, they always think about, oh, I'm going to be rich and famous and powerful and desirable, and there's all the things that you want, and I want, probably all of the young Whitney Houstons and Kenny G's and all of the other fantastic talent that's out there. I know you're dreaming about all of those things, the house you're going to be able to buy, how you're going to make life easier for your parents who supported you all through these years. But remember, once you find the success, that's when the work starts, because now you must maintain that success. And how do you maintain that success? Well, think of yourselves as a store owner. At the end of the day, the store owner opens up the cash register and he counts the money. Well, you need to learn how to run audits. The store owner needs to make contracts with people who brings the distributors that bring the goods into the store for him to sell. You need to learn how to understand and read legal documents, because if you don't, you'll never know what kind of deal that you have, and at the end of the day, you're left with an empty cash register and you wonder why. That's what keeping your dream alive is about.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I tell you, this book, I'm going to definitely read it from beginning to end. What you better know about the record industry. We just had this tiny little thing. I don't know how much exactly time we have left. Time flies when you're having fun. I have a couple of questions here. How do record companies decide which artists to sign?
Oh, that's a pretty easy one. If they feel they're going to make money, if they feel that there is the potential for them to sell records and make money, that's who they decide. Generally, what I find today is that most record companies operate on what they hear on radio. If they already hear a hit, if you can repackage that same thing in a new format, then they'll want to sign you, because they say it's already a hit, and because it's already a hit, it's easier to have a hit with it the second time. That's good and that's bad, but generally that's how it works.
I see. Let's do one more real quick. An artist sends his demos to the record company, but never hears anything back, not even a rejection letter.
Right, sure.
How do you get their attention, and what's going on there?
Well, the most important thing to understand is, we talked about the dream team. Most record companies, because there's so many folks out there who are looking for deals and looking to find success and looking to become the stars of tomorrow, and some of them will, most of those people don't know that you can't send your tape directly to the record company, because they get too many tapes. They have to have a buffer. That buffer is, record companies prefer to have a relationship with folks who they already have a relationship with. And so if they're going to bring someone new in, they want a referral. It's like you going on a blind date. You're not going to go on a blind date because someone calls you up. They have to come through someone that says, no, she doesn't look like King Kong. You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand.
It has to come through someone whose opinion they already respect. That's
I
called
see.
solicited material. They want to only get solicited
In a way, it's
material.
just common sense.
That's
But
right.
for some reason, in this music business and in the dreaming and the fantasy, you lose all common sense, oftentimes, or I do. I just take them. Hey, if you're interested in Kashif, his book, or his seminars, he teaches at UCLA and also does his own seminars, 2-day intensive workshops. Call the number at the end of the show, and we'll relay the information. We could talk. We will talk more because we're going to do several more shows with Kashif, and so. But that's it for now. If you want a free cassette of the video you saw in the beginning, I'll send you one. And I'm going to end now with a little piece, a George Harrison song I redid and made a little video of it. And Kashif, thank you very much. I've enjoyed it very much. We'll do much more. I love it. Thank you very much. I want to ask many more questions that have barely scraped the surface. But stay tuned for more shows with Kashif, and we're going to get into more detail as we go. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.